Hello, Space Cowboys. Welcome back to another episode of the Anime Podcasters Bebop Live Action Update. I'm back and I'm not dead.
Yes, you are back. So happy to have you back, Keo. It's been a minute, and we are just glad that you are all well and that you're ready to update people on the live action of Cowboy Bebop. So much news has come out over the last few weeks, especially this past week. At first, I wanted to do an episode right away. Keo was busy. We held off on it. And good thing we held off because even more nuggets came out. Like, even more information. This is going to be one of our most jam-packed episodes for sure. So,
Jaian spent like 3 days hashing out the document where we go over everything.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
So we're going to be discussing many things. I don't even know where to begin. There's
read the document that you have open.
Yeah, no, I know. But there's the opening credits. There's new artwork that came out. There's an interview with John Cho. There's an interview with the showrunners. That one's gonna be a big one. There's a second John Cho interview, and then there's a cast interview. I even found a Wikipedia page for this thing, and there's this huge Twitter thread on everything Bebop. So much news. Let's not waste any more time. Let's get into this. Also wanted to say that we are going to be covering the next time the trailer when it comes out, and we will be doing episode breakdowns in multiple podcasts. Meaning we might do episode 1, 2, 3 of the series, and then we'll just do that as one podcast when the series is actually out, and we'll be breaking down all of the happenings when the series does come out. So let's get into the opening. Let's just watch it together, and then we can discuss it. This trailer is a lot of information to digest in a minute 29. So much is happening. So a little bit of background on this trailer. Just so everyone knows, there's this fan event called Tudum that Netflix does. Tudum stands for something. I couldn't find out what it stood for. And that's when it was released over a week ago. I'm really, like, from a audio perspective, obviously they reused Tank. I'm so glad they did. That's like just a no-brainer for me. And I wanted to like just start by asking your general thoughts on the looks of it, because you're the visual one, Keo. This is like your department, you know? So
I actually had a question.
What are your thoughts?
Did they reuse the original track, or is it basically just a re-recording?
Yeah, I believe it's the same as the original. Maybe it's remastered, but it's definitely the original Tank.
Okay. So they probably like cleaned it up a little bit, just add some bells and whistles.
Possibly.
Okay. Yeah. Visually looks pretty much like they're very clearly like trying to pull off essentially the same look as the anime opening.
Yeah.
My only issue with that is that like halfway through they kind of lose the beat of the music, or like with the editing. So like when it gets to like there's like a lot of sharp movements. There's a lot of quick cuts in that part of the opening. Like there's the silhouette of Faye dancing like in really sharply. But like they kind of lose that. Like at that point, it's like closer towards the end. But for the most part, I feel like I'm just watching like some like a really high budget cosplay video in some sense. Like it's very clear like who is who if you look at it, especially if you were to look at it like from the perspective of like, what's the word? If you were to look at it like side by side, I feel like it's pretty obvious who's who. And I think the main three look very much like their characters. I think they're really well. I think the costume designers did a really good job. My only issue is like showing all the villains that are kind of like one-off episode characters. Like most of the time they only last for like an episode and then they're gone by the end of it. So like having all those characters in there seems a little. It seems like they're trying to cater to the fans by showing like, hey, we have these characters and this is us like showing that we know what we're doing. It's like I kind of see why they're doing it. It's also kind of a cool way to show off some of the other characters that are going to show up in the show. But I don't know, like it seems a little pointless to show them in there for such a short amount of time when the characters that are in those episodes are in there for an even shorter time. I mean, sometimes there's a part 2 episode where those characters show up, but like they're there for a very brief amount of time, so it doesn't make that much sense for them to be in the intro. I imagine this is just that, like a teaser trailer. So It's
Well,
probably made just to like be a teaser, less so than to be like the actual intro.
I don't know. It might be the actual intro because I mean we do get that Netflix
I don't have a
logo.
problem with it if it is. It's just like it makes more sense if it's actually just a trailer. Like showing off those characters that are in the show makes a little more sense if it's just trying to like advertise the show and like show like these characters that are going to be in future episodes. I kind of get that.
Right. I'm really happy with the inclusion of all the characters because as a podcaster for this specific series, we've been like kind of going over the cast list and everything, and that we kind of know already. We knew from the beginning that we were going to be selective about what they were going to cover. To me, this like confirms what arcs are in and what arcs are out, you know?
Yeah.
Like what episodic moments are in, what episodic moments are out. And they've included some characters I'm really happy with. And the YouTube comments here are a bit all over the place.
Oh, they always are, dude. You can never trust the comments.
No, I know, but I wanted to like take maybe one or two. One that really hit my heart. And I really want you to think about this one, Kyo. Maximum Matador said, "Justice for Edward. Where is my favorite hacker girl? Question mark, question mark, question mark, exclamation point, question mark, exclamation point, and many more." That is like the thing.
Edward's in there.
Is in the intro?
Well, you just see. So here's the thing. If you go back a little bit, there's a character holding an explosive trigger, and on the explosive trigger, there's a little smiley face, and I'm guessing that's that's Ed.
That's the thing is, we're gonna get more into this, but just wait, just keep listening, guys. I promise you, we're gonna get into the Ed discussion for sure. There is stuff to mention regarding that.
Oh yeah.
A bunch of the comments are pretty like mixed review, well received, like 833.
Would you say it's like half and half?
I would say it's more positive, to be honest. 833 likes to 129 dislikes. We're looking at like
that's not bad.
A pretty okay like engagement rate here. So I'm happy with that. And so after that, we also had Netflix Geeked. This Twitter account is a gold mine for this. You guys have to go follow them. And they go over all the characters in order in this Twitter thread that will be linked in the description. Obviously they discuss who's who in order. So obviously you have John Cho as Spike. We have Jet Black. We have Faye Valentine. Then we have Vicious. Those are the four we knew for sure. Then we have Elena Satine as Julia. We knew that. And then
is Julia's the one who's the gender fluid character, right?
No, Julia is the love interest of Spike.
Oh God, I'm an idiot.
No worries.
I feel like I should have guessed that based on the name.
I mean, no stress. And then we have Tamara Tooney as Anna, a confidant from Spike's past and owner of the hottest nightclub in the galaxy, trafficker of killer cocktails, electric jazz. I think that's a typo. Electric jazz, I think is what they meant. And the information you're looking for. Then we have Mason Alexander Park is Gren, Anna's right-hand person, loyal, fierce, and ruthless when they have to be. And then we have that couple from the very first episode. I'm pretty sure that's where they were from. Jay Uden and Lydia Peckham as Asimov and Katerina, a literal couple on the run, desperately in love, and looking for a big score to fuel their future. Sounds romantic, right? Question mark. But it's never just that simple. Yep. And then I forgot about this character. I completely fell through the cracks for me. Maria Murdoch, an eco-fascist whose hostile measures to protect nature have planted her firmly in terrorist territory. And when you care that much about Mother Nature, well, let's just say it doesn't leave a lot of room for anything else in your life. Then we have Teddy Bomber, and I'm so excited. We have Pierrot Le Fou. Like, this was the character I wanted. The crazy psychopathic killer that's at the carnival. Definitely my favorite villain in the series. He's in there, played by Josh Randall. Then we also had the Big Shot program. I'm so excited about Big Shot being back, dude. The only trustworthy news nowadays. And Ed and Harry is Ein. So that's basically all the characters in order. Did you have any other thoughts on the opening trailer?
Not really. I mean, I think it's really well put together. I don't really have that many issues with it. I mean, if it's just being used as a trailer, I imagine the intro is going to be a little different. It might be a little tweaked, but
right.
that's just my hope, because I think like it's a little, or plus like I think the live action footage is a little slower than the animation, because you can make animation as fast as you want it to be, as compared to like just filming people.
Right. No, definitely.
Which I'm not saying I hate this. I'm saying it's gonna look a little different. It's gonna be jarring at first, because like so many people know this intro and so many people are familiar with it. So like seeing the movement of actual people is going to be a little bit weird, as compared to like actually watching like the cart or the anime. There's going to be a little bit of a disconnect at first, but I feel like this is in the right direction. At the very least, the intro is in the right direction, I think.
Yes, to conclude on this opening credits, there is a quote that I want to go over from an article from avcclub.com called "Let's Jam Netflix Shows Off the Intro Sequence for its..." I don't have the full article in front of me. I was just reading off the URL. Let's do that again. Damn it, URL. Let's Jam Netflix shows off the intro sequence for its live-action Cowboy Bebop, and it's glorious. Okay, that's a pretty complimentary title.
Yeah.
Do you want to go over the quote?
The whole intro sets up the sci-fi noir action movie aesthetic of the show, with the four main characters in silhouette. Technically not silhouette, because if they were in silhouette, you would not be able to see them. That is a lie. Doing cool poses and smoking and dancing. Shut up. Doing cool poses and smoking and dancing while the show's various very cool spaceships pass by. Eagle-eyed viewers will notice that the jumbled text in the background isn't just a string of cool phrases like New York City and bounty hunters and conventional fixed jazz style jazz. Okay. It's also a vague backstory for the show itself and its concept of a community of space bounty hunters in the 2070s who call themselves cowboys, and how it all echoes back to bebop music from the 40s. In short, eat your heart out, Evangelion. Calm the fuck down.
This was quite a quote, to be fair. And
I have no words for this. That was a mess.
I do want to say that the one point I do want to really agree with is that the background does have information. There's a lot to be drawn from this intro credits, and the big thing for me is that I'm noticing they're definitely like doing Easter eggs. Easter eggs is a theme here. They have a bunch of little references here and there, and I have no idea where it's gonna go from here. Like, it's gonna be very interesting to find out.
I did like the shot where you can see the spaceship taking off, and it's very clearly a shot from the show that's going to be in there at some point. And I'm kind of curious to see like what the rest of the show looks like visually, because it looks like a nice mix of a painted background with a bit of CGI, and I really like that look.
Well, talking about what the show's gonna look like, we have a lot of visuals to go over, Kyo.
Oh yeah,
and this is gonna be probably the Kyo portion of the show, where Kyo will be giving his thoughts on what the visuals are.
Nobody wants
starting
that.
with. I want that. I'm my own audience.
Yeah, I know you are.
Netflix tweeted out this on September 24th. Watch this space tomorrow for more Cowboy Bebop, and they tweeted out the poster for Cowboy Bebop's live action, and we can see Spike, Faye, and Jet all facing backwards, and you can see a spaceship in the sky, and it looks very Bebop-esque to me. I really love it. What were your thoughts on just the visuals of the poster?
It feels very much like it does feel very Bebop, but it also has a little bit more leaning on the Western kind of look, like a space Western look, especially with like the spaceship, and you can see some stars up in the top area, and you can also see a pair of moons, which is a common sci-fi trope, to just throw in some planets that you can see in the sky. But yeah, it's whatever. But it's a nice effect, and I like the very grungy like spaghetti Western look that the town kind of has. It has that those clay buildings that a lot of Hispanic or a lot of Mexican architecture has. So they're built that way, so that way they retain like, oh, what's the word? They don't retain heat. They kind of insulate. So they insulate in a way that it keeps the inside cooler. And it's a common way of just it's just the common way that like they usually do that in Mexico, and it's very commonly associated with westerns because there was a lot of architecture like that in a lot of like spaghetti westerns, like Fistful of Dollars, Few Dollars More, like a lot of the Clint Eastwood stuff used like towns that kind of looked like that. And
Perfect.
yeah, I feel like this is really a good step in the right direction. Like this is already being a lot more promising than Death Note, because like when we were looking at the stuff for Death Note, while I really liked Ryuk, I think Ryuk was probably the best part of that whole thing. But like you could very clearly see some doubts were showing up when the first trailer dropped, and when you finally got to see what these characters or how these characters behaved. I feel like the fact that they're showing the intro first is a really good choice because everybody likes the intro. The intro is really famous and iconic. I feel like that is that's already putting a better favor towards the fans, but we already do have the stigma of bad live action anime movies, and that's a stigma that's not going to go away for a long time, if ever. So it's going to be a hurdle to come over, but I feel like it's going to be at least palatable. Like I think this is coming across really well. Visually, the poster looks great. I just realized I stepped away from that whole conversation a moment ago, but honestly, I think this looks really, really good.
And then we also had an article here from Forbes titled "The Live-Action Cowboy Bebop looks actually decent and is released this November." This is an article I covered last episode, but we had a bunch of cast photos, just generic overviews of these, Kyo. You know, I described all of these in the previous episode for the people if you want to see what they look like. But just general cast photos. You have like solo pictures of Mustafa and Daniela and John. You know, we can kind of see already what this is looking like. You know, just and general thoughts on these.
So right off the bat, the first picture that they're using is a picture of all three of the characters in an alleyway. Weirdly enough, Faye is walking Ein. I think that's already a weird concept to me. Like Ein being on a leash is a very odd sight to see because Ein was always like just kind of left to his own devices, weirdly enough. But I like the look of the background. The set looks really good. The characters it's very clear who's who in the like out of the three. And yeah, the first image is probably a screenshot from like towards the end of an episode. They're probably leaving with like a bag full of money or something like that. I don't know how they're gonna how they're handling that. It's whatever.
And I just want to say, because in the back there's a French text there, and it says "C'est la vie," and basically in English it translates to "it's life." You know.
Yeah.
So I wonder if that's like a reference to a specific bar in the show. I don't think so, but
I would have to go back and watch the show to be 100% sure, but I don't think it is.
No, and yeah, and then the next one, you know,
it might be just a detail that they wanted to add to like the bar that they're leaving or something like that.
But yeah. So I mean, I don't think we need like a description of all the pictures. I described them pretty in full length in the last episode. I just wanted just more thoughts on the looks, the costumes, the lighting. You know, like one thing for sure, John put in the work and he's in shape to look like Spike. You know.
Oh yeah, definitely.
27-year-old.
Like,
so
I think
any thoughts like that?
He looks spot on like Spike. Like I feel like Spike is a little more American looking based on the art or based on like how he's drawn. But the fact that they went with John, it's like, all right, it's whatever. He fits and he looks like Spike. That's all I really care about. All three of them look like the characters, and I already get who's who. And I mean, aside from having done this podcast for like 10 episodes now, I know who's who, and I feel like the costume designs are fine. The one that I noticed a lot of people were having gripes with is Faye, because like her outfit is not so like the way that her outfit was, she had like a red coat that was always worn at the elbows, so it wasn't on her shoulders, it was always like on her elbows, and then it was supposedly like a way to catch men's attention and for her to like distract people. And on top of that, the rest of her outfit is not yellow, and I don't really care. I think it looks fine. It's a unique look, and the fact that they're doing it all in live action and they're gonna take some liberties anyway, they might as well start with the costume design and work their way up to just other parts of the project. And I do have one small complaint. So like there's a picture, it's one of the last two. and it's showing the inside of the Bebop. I think it's like the general area. Yeah, it's the general area where like a lot of scenes take place. It's kind of like the apartment in Friends. There's always a scene. There's usually always a scene there. And there's a lot of like plot development that starts in that room. It's like, this is where the episode's going to start off. This is where we're going to see the MacGuffin that we're going to go after. It's a very frequently visited room. It's a common set, or it's a common background set that's going to be very frequent. But my issue is that I think it doesn't look dirty enough. I feel like it could look a little more worn, a little more older. It looks a little too bright and a little too polished. Like the couch looks a little worn, but I feel like it could look a little uglier a little bit, because like my idea, or I don't know if I'm misremembering, but the Bebop didn't always look the best on the inside. It didn't even look that great on the outside.
They weren't the
but
most
it's still
organized of people.
Yeah,
you know, they kind of left stuff lying around and stuff. No,
yeah,
but,
there are a couple of guys that are driving around in space. They really don't care. Like this is basically a moving RV for those two.
Yeah.
Yeah, so like I think that maybe a little more weathering would have made it look a little more like the show. Right now, the shot where it's the back of John Cho's head and he's looking at the hatch, I think, it looks like it looks like one of those sets where you get your cosplay pictures taken, like at a con, like you just have like this cardboard cutout and it's got like a background painting and then you get your picture taken in the costume. That's honestly all that I have issue with in terms of how everything looks. I feel like this is going to look visually very nice when the show does come out.
Agreed. Definitely agreed with you on that. I wanted to go to the next photos. These were tweeted out by Netflix Geeked. They're just solo shots of all the side characters that we're going to be talking about later. We're going to obviously Anna, Gran, Vicious, and Julia. You know, these aren't definitely main characters. I guess you could argue that Vicious is more main than those three, but Vicious I don't believe will be a part of all the episodes. And then we also had a really cool picture of the famous Spike versus Vicious scene before Greenbird plays and jumps out of the window. It looks beautiful to me. I just like overall the aesthetics here are really cool.
Yeah, I think or let's see, what's his name? Alex Hassel looks really good as Vicious. Maybe not as sleek, but I like the kind of Harry Potter kind of look he's got going. I actually think I think it actually fits really well. I actually don't mind it all that much. I think these are all like some really good choices.
Yeah, they're great choices for sure. I believe that they look very good, and this is just showing me like what arc is going to be in and what's going to be going down, and excitement continues to be palpable. Let's jump now to we have a bunch of interviews to go through. This first one is a video format, so we'll be playing the audio for you guys, and we'll be cutting in and out and kind of giving our thoughts. So, Kyo, if you want to take a minute to load that IGN article and just put your timestamp at 24 seconds.
Mm-hmm.
This is about a 2 minutes and 40 seconds. This is part of IGN. The article is called "John Cho Claps Back at Cowboy Bebop Fans Who Think He Is Too Old." Definitely interesting title. So let me know when you're ready. We'll just kind of play it and.
All right.
Cowboy Bebop is set to take off on Netflix this November, and with recent photos showing off the main characters in live action, many fans have been criticizing their appearance. Now, taking aim at John Cho's age in particular, fans were quick to point out how John Cho is a 49-year-old man portraying a 27-year-old character. Now, while Cho is extremely youthful looking for his age, some anime purists out there seem to feel Cho's age is inauthentic to Spike Spiegel, who, after all, is a brash, ultra-agile bounty hunter at the prime of his life.
A little bit of ageism.
While asked when
Maybe a little bit.
what he thinks about anime fans writing off his portrayal of the character based on his age, Cho responded by saying, quote, "First of all, I couldn't have done it when I was 27. I mean, maybe I would have been better suited athletically, but in terms of my discipline, I am strangely better suited at this age. I don't think I would have done justice to the emotional depth we tried to give Spike." Now, he then goes on to say, quote, "What I'm better at being older is showing weakness and vulnerability and love. Those things are more accessible to me. Personally, I'd prefer the version I'm able to do now. That's my taste." Now,
okay, that quote I agree with so much because he has so much more experience now. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
at 27, you know, yes, physically you're at your prime, but it doesn't change the fact that you don't have the same experience as a 49-year-old. Like, literally, as a 27-year-old myself, right now, as we are recording, I think of me when I'm 49, 22 years from now, man, I will have grown so much by then and learned so much more about myself. So I just agree 100% with that. I really think that was the perfect way to respond. What are your general thoughts on that?
Honestly, like, my honest thought is, like, kind of too fucking late, guys. It's like the show is already in post-production. It's being edited right now, and you guys are complaining about this after you've gotten the pictures. And it's just like, you guys could have complained about this earlier, and it's like, even then it wouldn't have done anything. But still, honestly, I think it's just anime fans being little brats.
Fair enough. All right.
Cho definitely understands the reservation some fans might have with him portraying Spike in the series, as he too struggled with making the decision to take on the role in his 40s. Now, in the interview, he said, quote, "I'm not a person who says age is just a number or whatever. It was gonna be harder physically, and I was gonna look different than a 25-year-old guy."
25 is completely different. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, you know, he literally says it. I'm not a person who says age is just a number or whatever. It was just going to be harder physically, you know? And yes, he's going to look different from a 25-year-old. There's nothing he can do there's literally nothing he can do about that. And I think you saying too little too late is perfect. I think we could just let the rest play out.
At some point, the opportunity is yes or no. Do you want to do it? And I did want to do it. So I wasn't going to stop myself from doing it. Despite the backlash, which I'm pretty sure he knew would eventually show up on his doorstep, John Cho claims it was a gut decision to take on the role of Spike, and that he's never taken a role more seriously than this one. Now, he also says he took no shortcuts in training for this role, and that even if his performance is perceived as a failure in the public eyes, well, he'll take what he learned while training and use that to improve his craft.
What was just said worries me so much, because if I'm John Cho and I believe I did good, you know,
Yeah.
this is not going to be a failure. There's no if, you know what I mean? Like, I fully believe in myself, and I know I can do the best Spike Spiegel ever out there. You see what I mean? So him saying that worries me a little bit, because if you believe in yourself, you're not putting doubt out there, you know? Like, when I'm out there and working on audio, are we going to be fine? Yes, I'm taking care of it. You got to be confident in yourself. And the second you show a little bit of doubt, it means that it's not what you want to hear. It's not what you want to hear at all.
Now, just to note from the interview, before being approached to be involved in Netflix's Cowboy Bebop, John Cho had never heard of the series. He wasn't familiar with the anime franchise at all. But after reading the first episode's script, he did some more digging into the anime and thought it was one of the most unique pieces of entertainment he's seen in quite a long while. While I know a lot of us out there are already criticizing the live action series, I personally think we should just wait for a trailer drop so that we can see these characters in action and what type of vibe they're going with for this particular series. Like, will it match the anime or deviate slightly to be its own thing?
All right. Yeah, that not being familiar with Cowboy Bebop, I don't want to hear that. I'm good. They did not need to, you know, that's troublesome. But, you know, we'll see what happens. Any final thoughts on that? Guys, make sure to go check out IGN. Make sure, I know you don't need a plug, but this was really super informative. So they're linked in the description. Please go support the article.
Yeah.
Showrunner Andre Namek did an interview on Polygon.com called Season 1 Curator Article. No, he didn't do the article. He was interviewed for this on this article. The Cowboy Bebop team aims to go deeper than a simple anime remake. So this article, guys, is huge. This is a scroller. This is like a sit down, make yourself a coffee, and then read this through. So I summed it up as best I can, just hitting all the important points. So we're gonna break this down in several sections. So the first one will be influences and the structure of the live action, and then we're gonna get into more specific characters. Jet Black, Faye Valentine. We're gonna talk about the production team. We're gonna talk about Yoko Kano, and we have even more. I'm not gonna say the whole list, but that's basically what we're getting into. So starting off with the influences and the structure of the live action. What was really cool is that when they did the research, before they even started filming, is that they looked at the source material that was inspired to make Cowboy Bebop, and then they went even deeper. And the article mentions The Big Sleep, The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, Bonnie and Clyde, and more. So the quote here when he was talking about this was saying, "We put a pretty extensive and expensive list together, and we spent a lot of time really looking at the inspirations." So my thoughts generally just based on that, I think that just going past what influenced Watanabe is cool because you can just find more resources and you can like compare all these previous movies and see what works and what doesn't work in the cowboy genre. And it just from a generic point of view, before we even get into the Bebop story, these influences can find a way to develop better characters, but develop better plots and storylines. So I'm really happy with this research. I think like a deep dive like this just will help facilitate and make just the production and the storyline much more interesting. You know, just my general thoughts. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, I mean, like I see the idea of seeing what inspired each of those movies. I think like if you have such an extensive list though, that you're gonna lose a little bit, or that you're gonna lose some details that way. Like if you have way too much to pull from, then you're gonna end up with like you're gonna end up with a mess. So like if you take certain, like just as an example, if you took certain ingredients from different dishes and then put those together, you're not always gonna get a great you're not always gonna get a great new combination out of those. But I do appreciate the fact that they're not just stopping at the inspiration, but they're going back and they're looking behind each of these movies and seeing like what makes these so good and what part of these are very clearly seen in Cowboy Bebop.
Yes, exactly. I think it's cool to go behind the influence. That's basically what's occurring here. Furthermore,
influence
Nemec
of the influence.
The influence of the influence. Yes, exactly. Nemec also explained that they're going to be keeping the episodic nature of the anime, how there's no like necessarily big connective tissue between all the episodes. They kind of just like singularly point out happenings.
They each kind of exist separately.
Exactly. You don't have to air them and go 1, 2, 3. You know. And then there's a quote here talking about how the team made like a list of major events and plotted out how the live action would be made. So this is what Andre said. Build out the continuing stories of Spike Spiegel, Jet Black, and Faye Valentine while also mining their past stories from the anime. So I'm really excited with that because those are the 3 main characters. So what's the behind the scenes? I really do believe we're going to get that Faye Valentine story, how she was like kept in time and everything, and she couldn't like age for a while, and she's older than what she looks. Really happy about that. And then when we were referring to behind the scenes and Easter eggs, he says that like every episode will have like nods, references, props to make this live action a proper homage, which makes me really happy.
Okay,
and the quote here that I love, he's like, "I would challenge almost any super fan of this show to see if they can find all the references in the frame." I mean,
okay, yeah. All right. I was afraid of the end of that sentence because I wasn't reading it as you were saying it. I was just listening as you said it. I was like, "Oh no." Or like when you say I would challenge almost any super fan, that can end as either this is going to bite you when the show comes out, or I am also a super fan and I can't wait for you to see this.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is pretty much what I got from this one, as opposed to being like, I don't care what the super fans say. I'm having fun making this movie or this show. Either way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's jump to like the character descriptions that he did. Kyo, do you want to maybe go over the quotes, explaining Jet Black as a character, and then Mustafa's influence, and why he was chosen to be part of that role? Go for it.
Okay. Jet Black at his core, despite all the hardships that were always presented to him in the anime, he is an optimist at heart. And I think in meeting Mustafa and in talking with him and going through the casting process, he presented such power and such a beautiful spirit. Mustafa is fond of saying something in the sweetest, most beautiful way. "Hey man, I love." He again is such a powerful presence, but with this beauty and the softness inside him, it was unquestionable that he had the essence of Jet Black.
And then for Faye Valentine, he describes Faye as a survivor, and on the fact that Panetta By the way, we've been pronouncing it. It's not Panetta. It's Pineda. I think. It's not Panetta. I don't remember exactly, but apparently we're not pronouncing it properly. So Daniela. What was the quote that he said regarding Daniela being cast as Faye?
She has a strength and power, even though she doesn't lead with that power. To me, that was what it meant to capture Faye Valentine.
Very interesting. And then the production team, he was talking. This is a point I thought was really cool. Apparently, Spike's costume, there was over 20 different cuts, like versions of it, before they finalized his costume, and they handled. And they did that with the same precision for all the other characters, Faye, Jet, everything. So they put a lot of hard work into the costuming as well as what he described. Okay,
why did it take 20 versions to get to the picture that's already available online?
People are picky. People are picky. I can relate. I'm a picky person when it comes to stuff that matters to me. So I'm glad. Like 20 is not like a crazy number. Like crazy numbers is like maybe 50.
Here's the thing though. There are 20 different. That means there are 20 different cut versions of the suit. That means there's 20 suits laying in a pile somewhere.
Yes, absolutely, and it will be auctioned off on JaianMusic.com. Link in the description.
I wish we could sell that.
Yoko Kanno. So.
All right, the part that you've been looking forward to.
Yes. He described how Yoko Kanno scored to the new footage geniusly. First quote saying, "Yoko's involvement in this show to me was a paramount to almost everything else." Completely agree with you, Andre. That is correct. Hitting some of your old favorites in Cowboy Bebop and really digging deep and into the skin of our telling of Cowboy Bebop and the characters as presented. I mean, music supports the story, man. And I said it on a podcast. You gotta secure Yoko Kanno. So I'm really happy with this. And this next section of the interview, I'm so happy. It talks about Ed. This is something I really wanted to talk about. What's the quote regarding Ed that Andre said, Kyo?
People will be very delighted when they watch the season.
That's
very cryptic.
That's my conspiracy theory here. They're hiding Ed. They're hiding Ed. Ed is not in the opening. His hidden is in the opening. They're hiding Ed. Ed's gonna be in. I guarantee. Like, if we're like having Teddy Bomber in there, Teddy Bomber's towards the end. Ed is definitely introduced to the series at that point. Dude, Ed is gonna be in. They're hiding Ed. They haven't released anything for the cast of Ed. And then on November 19th, Netflix drops Cowboy Bebop live action. And what? Episode 3, Ed's in there, and then everyone's gonna start tweeting. I'm calling it here. Ed's in the show. Ed is in the show.
That sounds about like what I was saying earlier. Like I'm pretty sure that they are kind of hiding Edward, and they're gonna keep them a surprise for like probably midway through the show, because I think that's about when Ed came in, right? Like it wasn't.
I feel like it was.
They didn't come in like that early, I don't think. Like I feel like it was like about halfway through the show when Ed came in, like maybe episode 7, like close to 10. Oh my god!
You know what I just realized? We're talking about Yoko Kanno and then Ed. Wasn't there an Ed song?
What, like
wasn't there
a theme?
Yeah, no. There was a song that Ed would sing when she was hacking or something. There was like there was a musical piece. Imagine if they put that in. Dude.
I'm sure they would. I don't doubt that they would.
Oh man, I don't even know like what to make of that. I don't even know what I would make of that for sure. Oh my gosh. All right, let's go to the next point. Ein. Apparently, Ein was played by 2 different dogs, which makes sense.
That's a very common practice when it comes to like having animals.
Yes, 100%.
Or like having animals like in a production. I wouldn't be surprised if they had like 4 dogs or something like that.
No, definitely. But I think 2 dogs is like
one is possible.
Smart.
It's quite possible that one is a bit more trained for like more stunt work, because you can only train dogs to do so much. I imagine that one is meant for more casual scenes, and the other one is meant for more for scenes where like the dog has to be a little bit more energetic. It has to move around a lot more. So maybe it's forgive my wording for this. So maybe it's a stunt dog. Like, I mean, I guess that's the only way to describe it. I think that's pretty much what the purpose is for having 2 of the dogs.
Possibly. I think maybe there's like identical twins, and then when one gets tired, they put in the other one.
Oh, they do that all the time. Like they'll just switch, or you just have to switch out the dog.
I did not know that.
Oh yeah,
I had no idea.
It happens all the time. Like usually, or like sometimes they'll even like paint the dog a little bit so that way the fur pattern looks the same. I don't think, or they don't have to do that for corgis because corgi patterns are usually pretty similar unless it's like a black and white or a gray corgi. But with like this particular color, they usually look about the same.
Right.
So unless somebody's being really picky, which I know they will be, unless they're being really, really picky with the the fur pattern, they'll be like, oh, this is the other dog. This is the other dog. I'm sure there's somebody who will care, but I honestly don't. I just think that the dog is cute.
Fair enough.
That's the extent of my care for the dog.
Let's go on the best part about working the show.
This
Andre
quote
said,
actually makes me a little nervous. I'm not gonna lie.
The greatest part about being able to work on this was that we knew we were being invited to play in somebody's sandbox, somebody else's sandbox. Why is that making you nervous?
Well, it's just like the phrasing of it comes across as like we're being invited to go, or it's basically like we're being invited to play in somebody else's sandbox. That's fine. I get the idea behind that, but my concern is like sometimes you don't want to mess with the sandbox too much. I mean, at this point what's the word, or what's the phrase I'm looking for? I don't remember, but like we're already like 6 feet deep on this already, so it's like it's already happening. So I don't have there's not much that could be done.
What if the sandbox is just quicksand and this is just gonna all sink and we're just never, I don't know.
Don't be negative.
Another quote from I got it from another website, but it's still very much from Andre, saying regarding Julia, in the anime, she's almost more of an idea than a character. So we mined what we could from the information that we had, and we built out who these people were. So I found that to be pretty interesting because, like, Julia, it doesn't. She's like more of like the love interest and seen as the love interest than like being on screen. I agree with that. And the fact that she's more of an idea of a character than an actual one, in my opinion, is accurate. It's accurate research. Like as a fan of Cowboy Bebop, I would agree with that statement. What about you?
I think that's pretty much true. I mean, like the thing that worried me for a split second was like I thought that since they were pointing out that she wasn't much of a character, she doesn't really need to be. She doesn't have to have a bigger role. She just has to be like the catalyst for Spike to become like somewhat of a broken person, like losing it, or like it's a little screwed up when like when a character's entire purpose is boiled down to just moving another character forward. That kind of sucks, but that's how the story is written, and if you expand on that, then it's not as interesting anymore. It's more because the character that you're there for is Spike, and if they add more to like make her more like quote unquote independent or try to make her more I don't know, like I'm thinking in terms of like the when they did that Cinderella movie basically, or that remake of Cinderella, and it was live action, they said they quote unquote made the character stronger. They didn't, and like it's stuff like that always makes me nervous, is when people try to be inclusive, but they actually step further back, like in the sense that if you change a character's role too much, you mess up the other characters in that process. So some characters kind of have to fall by the wayside in a way,
No, definitely. I don't know. Like, first of all, I'm finding out that Cinderella had a live action. No idea that existed.
You don't need to see it. It's awful.
All right.
That's me projecting. I'm sorry.
No, it's all good. It's all good. I just think like I see what you're saying. I definitely like see what you're saying. But the thing is, to me, the basis of the quote is like the truth of it. You know?
It's 100%
because
true. It's not that I have an issue with it. It's just that like this is something that you have to come to grips with when you're writing the story. That Julia is only important in the sense that she spurs Spike's story forward. It doesn't matter what her story is. We're focused on Spike. We're not focused on her.
Yes. Very true. No, I can't disagree with that. Let's jump to this John Cho interview, guys. Like I told you, we have a lot.
Yeah, we have quite a bit to go through. We're close to the end, but we've still got a lot of stuff to talk about.
And then we have audience questions. No, I'm kidding.
Wait, what?
John Cho.
Oh,
no,
I'm
kidding. John. No, we don't. There's too much information.
Okay. That's fine.
No. Yeah. John Cho trained like a superhero for Cowboy Bebop, the anime classic remake from Vulture.com. And instead of like getting quotes, I just kind of found like quick Spitfire facts from the article. So we already knew he was not a fan of the series before being cast. This is one that broke my heart. He never met Yoko Kanno. He was like, oh, did you meet Yoko Kanno?
Oh, during the production?
No, he's never met Yoko Kanno ever.
That would have been awesome.
Yeah, I know, right? Yeah, it would have been awesome. And then bunch of hair questions. We don't need to talk about John's hair. We know he has amazing hair.
Oh yeah, I love.
And then John. And then John was talking about how he's very stressed on the first episode because this was all new to him, literally new to him because he didn't even know Cowboy Bebop existed. How do you not know Cowboy Bebop doesn't exist? How do you do that? How do you?
By not being an anime fan.
I don't understand that lifestyle.
You're so ingrained to that lifestyle, you can't possibly imagine what it was like before. Also, I completely agree that I can't.
Yeah, no, it was ridiculous. And then we got like we knew he got that knee injury, but we never heard of like what he thought or like everything. And so when he spoke about the knee injury, he was saying it happened early in the morning and like it was like 3 or 4 a.m. I think, and he didn't like have enough sleep, and that's why he hurt himself. I was listening to a podcast about that. Like sleep, guys, you gotta sleep or you're gonna injure yourself way more easily. And then how Netflix didn't want to announce that he tore his ACL. And so he just had a lot of physical therapy and wanted to come back stronger and felt guilty for slowing down the production. That was basically his sentiment on it. I think that's old news. You know, yeah, he hurt himself. Any thoughts on that? I think that's pretty.
Is ACL the Achilles tendon?
Believe so. I'm not a medical expert.
That's just my guess, but like it kind of like I understand the idea of like hiding that, but that's like I mean the guy got injured. It's fine. I mean it's not like he like straight up broke his the tendon on purpose or anything. It's not like he did.
No.
Nobody wakes up and it's like I'm gonna slow down production and just like ruin my fucking body. Like that's a great idea. Like Netflix, what do you think that you have to hide? This shit happens on accident, usually.
He wakes up, he's like, I'm about to end this whole film's career.
Film.
ACL is anterior cruciate ligament, apparently.
What part is that?
That's what it's a knee ligament.
Oh, the knee.
That joins the upper leg bone and with the leg bone. I mean, ACL is a knee injury. That's a knee injury.
Yeah, that's a little more serious than the foot, I guess. I mean, because you're still putting a lot of weight on, like, one part of your body.
Basically. Yeah. Next article from comicbook.com. I've made new anime covers. Feel free to reach out. They had an article titled, John Cho Watches Cowboy Bebop Anime Reaction Netflix. And the only interesting part of this was a tweet from Netflix Geeked, and they had this interview with the cast that interviewed each other. So I'm just gonna kind of go over like what the questions were and what the answers. So John described Spike as cool, lost, and hungry. And it's all about the suit, baby. Okay. Mustafa described Jen in 3 words: obsessive, loyal, and a little stupid. And by a little stupid, he means myopic. Interesting. John said his heart gets him in the when he was describing Jet. Sorry, that his heart gets him in trouble because he doesn't see what others see because he's so in love. Interesting. And then John talked about his favorite character outside of Spike, and he said Faye Valentine because of the compelling story, the survival instinct, and that's what makes her a great character. Then obviously John hasn't seen Cowboy Bebop. We all know that. And then he talked about his first watch. He was blown away by his first watch, very impressed and stunned. So yeah, and
he's
Mustafa asked this. Yeah, I hope.
But he better have, because he's just. I mean, if he couldn't do a whole lot with his knee, then he may as well have like sat down and binged through the show while he had some time.
Hey, yo, John, did you see Cowboy Bebop yet? Yeah. I love Evangelion.
Oh God. Please no.
You just have like the director looking at his My Anime list, like, come on, you're still stuck on episode 11.
I would love to see that. I would love to see like a bunch of people who are like all anime fans, like on the movie set, and they're all talking about their anime recommendations. Nobody listens to each other's recommendations; they just ask.
I mean, they make for great podcast episodes,
yeah, don't they?
But we never watch them. All right. And then Mustafa asks who would win, Bushmaster from Luke Cage or Jet Black? And then he said that Jet Black would win. I don't even know who Bushmaster is.
Me either. So, I have no idea. Or actually, wasn't he on the Luke Cage series? Mustafa?
He
I
could
could have
have.
sworn that he was.
I'm not
I
sure,
would
to
have
be
to go
honest.
back and
Then
look, but
Daniela,
whatever. Keep going.
yeah, Daniela on Ein, she said that he is a presence or a present. I couldn't really make out what she was saying. A heavy dog is a diva. If you don't have any food, it's walking away. And then this is like something that Daniela said that I really like warmed my heart and made me really excited. And then she said, from what we have seen so far, there is nothing they can compare to the live action. Maybe Kill Bill and Star Wars compared to it. So, whoa. I'm excited to see what that like how that translate when it comes out.
That's
then,
a lot. That's a lot of pressure to place on this show, I think.
Yes, and on your knee, which you could injure. So
God
be careful
damn it,
with your knee.
And John Cho could be listening to our podcast right now. Don't make fun of his knee.
At JaianMusic, tweet me. John is excited to excavate the past of their characters, is what he was saying when what was like really exciting for him on the show. Danielle also confirmed that there's going to be many Easter eggs in the show. And then John also discussed about his favorite reaction from fans, and that they are picking up their love for the anime. And on set, they were always talking about, is this Bebop? And when he's mentioned that, he said, I'm talking about where we put the props, the cameras, the camera movements, the way people stood. Like, he really went into the detail to make this Cowboy Bebop, which is amazing. I'm so glad to hear that. And the last quote here, Daniela said that no decision was made without making a direct reference to the anime. So I don't understand. Like, can we go on lunch? It's like they're on set. Can we go for lunch? How does that relate to the anime? We'll eat.
The director is just
eat
like
noodles.
They didn't take lunch in the anime. Neither did you.
Exactly. Yeah, that's definitely.
Oh my god.
So yeah,
it's fine to think about.
any thoughts on all of those like things they said?
Honestly, like, I think they're placing a lot of faith on it. I mean, like, the thing is, like, when you say that you can't compare it to anything except for Kill Bill or Star Wars, those are really big movies, and I feel like that's putting a lot of pressure on the show itself. But that's just from an actor. That's not from an overambitious director or anything. That's just the actress, like, describing how much fun she's probably had working on the show, and just from what she's seen so far. That's cool. I think that's a nice way of describing it. If she's just complimenting how she feels the production's gone and how things are coming along, I think that's nice to say. But it, in a way, like, using those two examples is kind of putting a lot of pressure on the show to come out really well. But with what they've been saying about, like, the Easter eggs and, like, how much they're drawing from the anime and how much they're drawing from the inspiration that brought the show out to what it is. It's sounding like, or this is already sounding a lot more passionate than the Death Note movie.
Oh, dude, they're way more proud about this. Like, I remember watching Light Turner interviews, and he will only be named Light Turner, and he just kind of sounded like, yeah, this film's gonna be cool. It's about Death Note, it's about a guy who has a book. Like,
it feels like we've got like two different what's the word? Or the same assignment, two different students kind of result is what I'm feeling here.
And one of the students is a genius, and the other one's just kind of like, I could get a 60 on this.
Yeah, exactly. Death Note is the 40 is the D-rated one that is very much just pulling the bare minimum from it and trying to do its own thing, and it was gross. And then this is the A+ with a little extra credit sprinkled on top. So
A+ with extra credits. Yeah, exactly. All right. And then that's basically what it is for all of the articles. The last thing I wanted to mention, the last two things, is that there is a Wikipedia page for the Cowboy Bebop live action. There's a bunch of other little tidbits of info in there. We're not going to go over them. Just if you're even more of a nerd than us, click that link. And then I also found a thread on Twitter. This guy at Arune, he's just been like tweeting about like Cowboy Bebop and just kind of like summarizing everything and just giving episode reviews. It's a great thread. So I'm gonna leave that in the description as well. So that's basically everything. We went over quite a bit. This is definitely going to be our longest podcast yet. Opening credits, we talked about the artwork, the poster, the cast photos, and then we talked about the first John Cho interview, the showrunner interview, and then we discussed, I'm still waiting for the article to scroll. There, another John Cho interview, the cast interviews each other. And yeah,
there is
quite
so
a bit,
much
quite a bit.
stuff.
I know. And the next episode's probably going to be more. I'm not even going to lie. Like this is only going to go higher and higher and higher and higher. We're going to get like really high for this.
Like I've said, I feel like every other episode I'll just say like the way Jaian preps me for these episodes is he'll just send me a couple of articles and be like, podcast ? And I'll be like, dude, I just went over these. 2 of these articles are the same thing. But this time, Jaian sent me the Google Doc, and it was a whole bunch of these articles, and it's videos, posters, trailers, all this stuff. And I'm like, okay, yes, we can do an episode, but I didn't want to be on it because I was nervous about it. Because I think I said in the last episode that I wanted to wait until the show came out to give my thoughts. But going over all this stuff, I felt like I had to come on this episode and not leave Jaian by himself.
And the thing is, one of those articles I sent you though were both the same. One of them was a link to play Fortnite with me, and you still haven't clicked it.
And
so
I never will.
So I'm at JaianMusic on social media.
This is my PSN number. Add me on Discord.
All right. Let's add me on Discord. Talking about Discord, you can join the JaianMusic Discord server. Okay, in all seriousness. That's good. Episode 10. Thank you all so much for sticking with us. We've been doing this podcast for 2 years now, which is kind of crazy. Still can't believe it. I believe that maybe we could do more of these live actions if there's more interesting ones. I don't know if we should like merge with anime podcasters or do just a live action podcast feed. But definitely, if you guys want more of these, you need to subscribe to my channel. We have a bunch of anime content over there. YouTube.com/JaianMusic, and my website is JaianMusic.com. Make sure to follow me at JaianMusic on social media. What about yourself, GoPro?
You can find me on Twitter at GoProKyo. Just as it sounds, capitals for each letter or for each before syllable. Fuck. Okay, whatever. Shit.
Link in the description.
God, it's been a while since I did this. You guys can also find me on YouTube at GoProKyo. I've got a very special project coming out. Sonic X is almost ready. I just need a little bit more time with it, and it'll be out before the year's over. And that's about it for me.
Yes, and I should mention Anime Podcasters is the other podcast that we do. Kyo comes on as a guest once in a while, and I do it with Hotshot twice a month. We might do more than twice a month in the coming months. So if you're into that, make sure to go check that out. All right. So for myself, GoProKyo, this has been another episode of the Cowboy Bebop live action podcast update. A lot of words. And we'll see you probably next month. Bye.